Good morning!
Morning!
Today is April 30th.
Yes. It's the last day of the month.
It is Thursday. I was like, the last day of the week? It's Thursday. It's the last day of the month. Yes. Oh, I hope you've had an amazing start to your week thus far. I know that we have. We've really been taking the time to just reconnect with God. And I know that this has been challenging in many ways, and there are a lot of uncertainties, and I in no way want to make light of some of the hardships or challenges that people are facing, but this has been a real opportunity for us to just reconnect with God and come back to the basics of obedience and dependency on Him, and I'm just so thankful for that.
It's been good. Speaking of obedience, Adam's sermon last night was so good! I posted a link of it on my personal page if you missed it.
Thank you, honey.
It was a good one.
It was all God.
I could have cried through the whole thing. I'm so proud.
It was all God. Also, we have a very special announcement this morning. When my wife and I moved to Oklahoma, we've said before that, we didn't have a job, we didn't have places to live, but I did have some family here. My aunt and uncle live here, my grandparents live here, and I have 3 amazing cousins that live here, and this morning is one of their birthdays. It's my cousin April's birthday. She is the oldest cousin of my aunt out here. I can't express accurately in this little amount of time how much I love them and how much they mean to us and how supportive they are and just how amazing and blessed we are to have the family that we do.
They're pretty wonderful.
They are.
And April's like a horse whisperer, so that makes it even better.
So if you happen to see this, April, happy birthday. We love you so much. You are so amazing. We're so proud of you, and we can't wait to see you next. Sydney's already talking about how how cool it is that when Jack gets older, I bet April will let Jack ride her horses, and she'll
wouldn't that be
teach
fun? We could
him.
take a little trip out there, because she lives a little bit. She lives like an hour away, but I was like, wouldn't that be fun? We could take a day trip. He could ride her horses. He could see all of her animals. They could go to the vet clinic. They could go see.
I bet she will, Sydney.
I should probably ask her first, but I'm sure.
So we love you, April. Happy birthday. I know it's a different one, but just know that all of our love and happiness is coming to you from us here in isolation.
I know. One of our memory popped up because we always do like family dinners for birthday at Adam's aunt's house, so that popped up on one of her memories yesterday, and I was fat and pregnant, and from last year, and I was like, I miss family birthday dinners. Plus, it's a night I don't have to cook, and happy birthday, we love you.
Today is...
You got me thinking about food now.
April 30th. We have been reading from Jesus Calling by Sarah Young every morning, doing a morning devotional, starting our day off right with God. It's so important, it's so necessary to learn our dependence on Him for everything we need.
Yes.
So if you have one, I encourage you to follow along. But it reads, when some basic need is lacking, time, energy, money, consider yourself blessed. Your very lack is an opportunity to latch on to me in unashamed dependence. When you begin a day with inadequate resources, you must concentrate your efforts on the present moment. This is where you are meant to live, in the present. It is the place where I always await you. Awareness of your inadequacy is a rich blessing, training you to rely wholeheartedly on me. The truth is that self-sufficiency is a myth perpetuated by pride and temporary success. Health and wealth can disappear instantly, as can life itself. Rejoice in your insufficiency, knowing that my power is made perfect in weakness. Man, that's good stuff. Jesus Calling always gives us some verses underneath for context, which I will read. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds. James chapter 1 verse 2. And he has said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9.
This makes me think of, I know we talk a lot about how we have this big group text going on with a large amount of our kids from our youth, and this just reminds me, we were all in there talking last night, and one of our girls was talking about how, thankful she was to have come to Crossroads, and that during this time from when she first came to now, like, she's gone through she's made a lot of missteps, but she's really thankful for those, because if it weren't for those kind of pauses in life, those mistakes or missteps, she would never have had the opportunity to grow closer in God like she has. So instead of looking at it like, oh man, what a setback, she was just giving us a praise report about how she has been able to grow through them and was thanking God for it. And that just reminded me of that when you're going through something, whether it's lack of money or you're sick or whatever, there's always a way to thank God for it.
Yes, this is... our society oftentimes, and our culture, and I would say even more so in men, it almost tries to make you feel ashamed whenever you are inadequate in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
like, you can never be weak.
This comes to mind because I know I have had conversations with some of my boys, and they have told me they're not used to expressing their feelings when they're feeling bad. Mm-hmm. Their society tells them that you are just supposed to suck it up and fix it on your own, and nothing is ever too bad that you can share with others, because that is a sign of weakness. And that is the exact opposite of how God intends us to live.
Yes.
And man, this is just such an important devotional, because this is saying that we are supposed to rejoice in our weaknesses.
Yeah.
We are supposed to praise God for our weaknesses, because it is then that He can come in and show His power through you.
Yep.
Because we are not self-sufficient.
No.
But we can trick ourselves into thinking we are.
When things are super good.
And then when we feel bad or get low or run out of something, we think it's something that we can fix or we can do, so we feel that we shouldn't share it with anybody or ask a God or...
So silly.
And I found it... Maybe I'm being biased because I'm a youth pastor, but I feel that this attack is more on the young.
For sure.
And it is, I love this. I had this highlighted from years ago. The truth is that self-sufficiency is a myth perpetuated by pride.
Mm-hmm.
And that just rings so true, because from my humble opinion, our culture is very boastful of imagery and strength, and
you can't have anything without telling someone.
And so it just feeds into that whole notion of pride and image and things like that, and then it makes it very hard for our young to come forth when they genuinely need help or are hurting or are lacking in something. And I am trying with all of my might through God to break those preconceived notions of what is acceptable and not acceptable. And this is flipping it on its head, to think that our weaknesses are really a glorification to God.
Mm-hmm. You don't always have to be perfect, and we can't ever be perfect.
But we do try to be.
We do try, and pride gets in the way. And it's important that we don't stay in those low valleys, that we don't stay in these self-wallowing, and give thanks to God. Reach out to someone that you love, and don't just, Satan wants nothing more than for us to stay down in that valley. He wants nothing more for us to be like, I got myself into this. I got to get myself out. That's not the case. That's not the case. Turn to God. And I love that you say it's a thing. It's more prevalent in the youth, because I agree 100%. As an adult, it doesn't go away, but it does get a little bit easier as you go through life experiences and hardships and ups and downs. As an adult, it gets a lot easier
to turn it over,
know what you're supposed to do. But as a teenager, you're just learning how to deal with downs and all of these big feelings that are absolutely valid, these big life things, and you're learning how to deal with it. And it's very easy to be like, I'm going to hide this away and fix it by myself. I don't want anybody to know. I don't want to hand it over to God. I'm embarrassed. I feel ashamed. There's nothing to feel. We were talking about this last night. There's nothing shameful about
your inadequacies,
your shortcomings, because your shortcomings are opportunities for God to step in and move in you and grow, help you grow. It's just, it's a tough, it's kind of a difficult lesson to learn. It takes a long time. It takes a while to get it.
Yes. It's another step in your faith when you are able to understand that and have that realization that awareness of your inadequacy is a rich blessing, because in it you are being trained to rely on Jesus Christ wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. That's where the blessing comes in. It's not necessarily that the pain itself is a blessing, but your ability to then rely on God is the blessing, and the fact that He is always there for us is the blessing. And so the first step, I think, the very first step is that you have to be aware of the inadequacy itself. Because if you're not even aware of the inadequacy, then you can't possibly turn it over. So
acceptance is the first step.
So when you can start to become aware of your inadequacy, and this can be in anything. This can be in you lose your temper too quickly. You don't have enough energy. Your finances aren't where they are supposed to be. The first step is to realize, okay, I am greatly lacking in this area. Acknowledge that, and then turn it over to God so that He can bless you with what you need. And that's where God's power comes in, and that's where we are so blessed that we have a God who cares enough to listen to our little needs. I mean, it's just amazing.
He doesn't expect you to carry this all by yourself. He doesn't expect you, or He didn't design it so that we carry these shortcomings on our own and these feelings of inadequacy. He wants us to lay them at His feet, and so He can do what He's always done, and that's build up from them like a garden. You're not supposed to just shut the door, turn off the lights, and be like, well, hang on, we'll get through this and white knuckle it. He wants us to give it to Him, address it, grow from it, learn from it.
Yes.
And it's not going to happen overnight. There's things I've been working on that are still not where I want them to be. And I'm sure it'll be that way with different things throughout my life. There's always going to be these shortcomings. There's always going to be areas to improve on. But if you give them all to God, you will always improve greatly.
And
greatly.
That's just the beauty of being a Christian, of believing in Jesus Christ and believing in the cross, is that it's not like you can ever achieve perfection in the relationship, because it is a true relationship with God through Jesus Christ, and it grows every day and will continue to grow until the day that you leave this earth. And that's beautiful to me, because I know there's never an end goal. It's just always this moving, beautiful thing that I have to learn to take day by day, hour by hour. But it is definitely something that we have to learn to be thankful in the face of trials. Because on its face, that sounds like you want me to be thankful for facing hardships. And I actually heard a sermon by a pastor one time, and he had talked to many of his congregants, and they said, while I would never wish that, a loved one got cancer or I lost my job, I wouldn't change it for anything because of the lessons that I learned. And I think that's where the truth is.
And I would say the same thing about my life. I'm sure you would say the same thing about yours. There's been some really rocky roads that we've gone down, really dark places, really just terrible things that have happened and that we've done. I wouldn't change any of it because I don't think I'd be sitting here on my couch trying to glorify God and spread the word of God had it not happened. Because I've learned a ton. And you know what phrase comes to mind? A little four-letter phrase. Opportunity, not a burden.
Yes.
Opportunity, not a burden. It's everything can be an opportunity. Everything can be an opportunity to glorify God. You just have to look for it. You just have to be willing to give even the hard things to God. It's easy to glorify Him when things are going great. Like, thanks, God. I have a great job. I got another car.
Hardships are going to come inevitably.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come in this world, in this life. But don't let a hardship just be a hardship for hardship's sake.
Because then you went through it for nothing.
God will use you in every hardship if you allow Him. So you always want to come out the other side being closer to God because that's what it's all about.
Yep.
I can see that we've gone well over our time. I hope that you guys are having the most blessed week. I think our son is waking up right now, so we're gonna go get him. We love you guys.
He slept a whole 6.5 hour stretch last night.
We will see you tomorrow, God willing. We love you.